What's going on, Colts Nation? I appreciate you joining me for another video where in this one, I want to talk about something we talked a little bit about last week, something that the defense needed to fix. And against Tennessee, we were able to get away with what we had. Okay, Tennessee's offensive line, not great. They were down a couple of their best offensive linemen anyways, so we were able to throw Cam Ward off. Now, Cam Ward, incredible escapability. We saw that in the game. There were plenty of times where we almost had sacks and he was able to get away from our guys. But at the end of the day, what we have really just isn't good enough. We go up against better offensive lines, we are going to have trouble. It's just the way it is, right? Against the run, we were able to be much better. We were able to put 25 pressures on the board, however those are calculated. But the number that I saw was 25 pressures. We got 4 sacks. And honestly, with Latu coming back, I thought we'd be able to get, more of an effect off the edge. Now, Latu is his own conversation. Latu is able to put pressure on the quarterback in different times. I think he had 4 pressures is what he accounted for. Ended up with 3 tackles. But overall, Latu, last year, even when he wasn't playing as much, he played 51% of the snaps, but he ends up with 4 sacks last year. And I thought, there was definitely room for improvement. And, I think from a rushing standpoint, like he's good at the rush. It's the finish that he's not getting. He could have had 3 or 4 sacks in the game. And again, Cam Ward is mobile. He has good escapability. He was able to get away from our rush at a lot of different points. But with Latu, his athleticism, with how quick he can get home sometimes, it's like, bro, when you get there, you have to get the sack. You're our best edge rusher. We need you to get home and get the sack. You can't just get in the backfield. We need you to get in the backfield and get a sack, right? We took you in the first round, 15th pick overall. You were the first defensive player taken in your draft class. We need you to get the sack, okay? However, you have to do that. You got to make it happen, right? Latu has to be better. There's no doubt about it, right? So for every good thing that the Colts are doing right now, I think it's important to look at the things we need to improve on. We got a big-time matchup this week with the Rams. And the Rams are one of the best teams in the NFL, no doubt about it. On the offensive side, they are really good. Right? They have a solid offensive line. It's not incredible. They have a solid offensive line, but they also have Matthew Stafford, one of the better quarterbacks in the NFL, especially from a pocket passer perspective. And he has Puka Nacua and Devontae Adams to throw the ball to. He has Kyron Williams in the backfield who can escape the backfield and be able to make plays in the pass game. If you can't put pressure on Matthew Stafford, he will pick our defense apart. Right now, at the time I'm recording this video, there's no real word on Kenny Moore. Will he be available? Will he not? Right? He's dealing with a calf. We'll see what happens there. If he has to miss this game, that's a pretty big piece of the puzzle. Right? Kenny Moore, the best slot in the league, has been for a while now. That's a pretty important piece. So if we're down him, then you have to find a way to generate pressures. Now, Kenny Moore also great at blitzing, right? So when you think about what can we do to try to help the pass rush, well, you can't blitz Nick Cross all day, right? He's one of our safeties, right? You generally blitz Kenny Moore if you're going to blitz any part of your secondary. Kenny Moore's really good at it. Kenny Moore has an ability to be able to affect things, to be able to get home with a sack, be able to at least make a quarterback have to get off his mark, look down from the pass and look at the rush. Kenny Moore being out could be a problem, which is something we'll talk about if that ends up being the case. There's a possible solution out there depending on what his injury is, how long he's going to be out, if he's going to be out. But we also have Xavier Howard, right? And there's a different conversation that comes with that. But when you look at Devontae, like Charvarius Ward was really good. For all accounts, he had to miss one game, but for the games that he's played, he's looked good. He had like 3 or 4 pass deflections in the game against the Titans. So from that aspect, we're good. Sean McVay, really good offensively as a coach. And again, Matthew Stafford, going to be able to operate really well, going to be able to look at film and be able to call things out. Like, we're going to need to be on top of our game. And we have to be able to disturb Matthew Stafford. We have to be able to get him off his mark and get him off the point and make him pay attention to the rush in some way. Now, I know in the Titans game, I saw a lot of linebacker blitzes, right? So we'll see, there's probably going to be some of that incorporated. We were able to get some pressure through the middle. Grover Stewart's doing a really good job as a pass rusher through the middle. DeForest Buckner able to do his thing as well. Those two are going to be incredibly impactful. But we're really like Samson Ebicom, especially in the run game. But Samson Ebicom really has been really disappointing for us so far. And JTT's been inactive. So we're not even getting anything from a guy that we drafted in the second round. When he did play, I think he only played like 8 snaps on defense. So we're really not getting anything there. So I'd like to see the edge rush be able to get beefed up. And again, what we saw last week was, or what we talked about last week was, hey, let's go get Trey Hendrickson. If the Bengals start to lose and the Colts keep winning, let's go get Trey Hendrickson. I laid out the way we could make that happen. I'm not going to go through the whole thing. If you want to know how it could happen, you can go watch the video we came out with last week. But for all intents and purposes, the way the Bengals looked is kind of how we expected them to look without Joe Burrow. Defense, not getting the job done at all. Offensively, they had a bunch of turnovers. So, listen. They want to get something for Trey Hendrickson, who they're probably not going to have after this year anyways. Then, hey, bring him to Indianapolis, right? Go bring him to Indianapolis. Get rid of Kwity Paye, who did have a sack. Honestly, one of the more impactful. But, like, if you're going to make the cap situation work, you're probably going to have to get rid of Kwity Paye, right? And either way, like, Kwity Paye might not end up re-signing with the Bengals either. So, if they're going to lose out on a pass rusher both ways, then let's just give them one. They can dump off some salary. They can get some draft capital, right? And wait for Joe Burrow to come back next year, right? Which, if they keep losing, I doubt they have Joe Burrow play again this year, honestly. So, just looking at the situation, it's like if we're serious about contending and the way the offense looks, I think we're serious about contending, then we need to start looking at how do we make ourselves as good as possible and shore up the areas that we need to shore up to make sure we're able to contend against the best teams and make sure we're able to really compete with the best teams at the end of the year when it really matters, right? You have to be able to get to these good quarterbacks. You have to be able to throw them off their mark, get them to look away from the pass and look at the rush, get them on the run. Like, especially a guy like Matthew Stafford, right? So will we trade for Trey Hendrickson this week? Doubtful. Right? Doubtful. It'd be great, but it's doubtful. So overall, like, how can we make it work to be able to get there? What would the timeline be in terms of trying to make a move to get him? That's the part that's really up in the air. But if I'm Chris Ballard, I'm at least making the call, saying, hey, man, like, I understand your situation. We think, we can make moves to be able to make the number work for us. We can give some of our guys some more money straight up. We can make it work. I already went over how we can make it work. We can make it work. So if I'm Chris Ballard, I'm making that call and at least putting it out there right now, so that even if you can't talk them into it right now, because there's going to have to be, negotiation on both sides, and they're going to try to get as much as they possibly can. But, you have a guy on a 1-year contract, especially at his age and with what he costs, how much are you really going to get in terms of draft capital? So if I'm Chris Ballard, the way things are looking, this regime, front office, and coaching probably going to be here next year because we're not an absolute failure this year. We got a quarterback that can operate, that's not losing us games, and the team built around the quarterback is really good. So just shoring up the pieces that we can to go make a run at it this year. Trey Hendrickson is an option. Trey Hendrickson should be a Colt sooner rather than later, right? I will not move off that train. And I think a lot of Colts fans are, as the weeks go on and the pass rush from the edge rushers not being what it should, I think more people are starting to come around to that. And there are going to be people in the comments for sure that disagree with me. And don't be afraid. If you do disagree, that's fine. You can let me know about it. But I just think we really have a chance to contend with what we're seeing. The quarterback play from Daniel Jones. Jonathan Taylor is right now the best running back in the NFL, right? The litany of weapons that we have on offense. I just think we're going to be able to score points. We have to make sure the defense isn't letting up more points than what we can score, right? Because the way we're operating right now, like against the Rams have one of the best defenses in the NFL. We're probably going to see more punts from Rigo. It's probably not going to be as pretty as it has been over the first few weeks, right? And I mean, even against the Titans, there were different points where the offense didn't look as incredible as it had in the past. We still only punted one time in the game. So, right there's room for error for sure. But with the offense playing the way they are, again, I think it's time to seriously consider what moves we would have to make in order to make sure the defense isn't going to cost us games. And so again, I would go after Trey Henderson. There's some more stuff that I think we should end up doing. And we're going to have videos about that. So if you enjoyed the content, make sure to hit the like button. Make sure you guys are subscribed with notifications on. Whatever you're thinking, let me know down in the comment section. How do you think we can change the defense up and make this team as great as possible so that they're not going to be the ones costing us games? I'd like to hear your guys' opinions down in the comment section. Please let me know. And again, subscribe and have notifications on so you get notified whenever we drop any more content on this channel. Of course, I appreciate you stopping by for another video. And as always, take care of yourself, take care of each other, and go Colts.